Really impressed. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, Mr. Minister, first of all, thank you for inviting me here, the organizers, as well as the sponsors who made this event happen. I know I'm standing here between a long day and your lunch, so I'll try and be as concise as I can and as light as possible. So bad news, if you thought I was going to talk about real estate, I'm not going to do that much about it. I think there are much more qualified people to do so. But good news, I think a lot of our fellow speakers spoke about investing in Cyprus and the experience and why to invest. And since we have been investing in the country for the last 8 years, I think I'm probably a witness of whether it's the right thing or a bad thing to do. Now, a few words about Invel. Invel is a real estate private equity firm. We invest mainly in Southern Europe. We are opportunistic in nature, asset agnostic, so we would invest in anything from residential, hotels, offices, data centers, you name it. However, in all of those cases, what we do try to do is to create a team around those assets and try to create alpha, so create value for our properties and therefore be able to enhance that value and at some point sell those assets. So in Cyprus, we have done four investments. We started in December 2015 when we bought from Bank of Cyprus both the debt and the equity of Aphrodite Hills, which since then we spent significant capex, brought in a new manager, transformed it, and made it actually a very profitable and sustainable business. Following that, we actually bought another portfolio from Bank of Cyprus. Panicos is not here, but he was a great counterparty to deal with, and that was a portfolio of income-producing assets that was essentially repossessed assets in the form of a debt-for-asset swap. Most of them were undercapitalized, so we had to do a lot of work. Our team did a lot of work on the ground to transform them, lease them up, and I think now we're fully occupied. Then we went on to 2019, we acquired from Morphine Investment Group the Hilton in Cyprus. Everyone who knows the history of that hotel, whoever now goes to the capital will see a huge construction site. And I had a comment before about real estate and the destruction in environment. This particular project actually is going to be a gold certificate, very green, no cars, there's 900 underground parking, so really a beautiful project that will transform the capital. And then, last but not least, in the middle of COVID, we acquired the Park Lane Resort. That we have since then spent quite a lot of time and money to transform it into a lifestyle destination. I created some high-end F&B and some other retail outlets, which makes it a very welcoming project, not only for the tourists, but also for the local community, which is something that people do forget, that it's quite important to embrace the local community wherever you're investing. So that's our experience. The common ground for all these investments is that they were all sizable. In all cases, there was a willing seller. In all cases, we thought, hopefully we'll be proven right, that we can do a better job than the previous owner. And essentially, we're quite happy with what we've done in the country. Now, our experience thus far in Cyprus. Let me start, first of all, starting by saying that Cyprus has changed dramatically over the years. I do remember when I left I came, then left again in 97. And at the time, I had mentioned to my partner, which is my wife today, that I'm leaving and I'm never coming back. And I know that she really got spooked about it. But here we are, 25 years later, we're in Cyprus. We actually relocated as a family in 2018. And more often than less, we actually enjoy our time. So therefore, it's clear, I confirm what some of the fellow speakers did say. It's a great place to raise children, to have a decent balance of life. Not for me, because I do travel a lot, and that's probably one of the downsides here. But overall, it's a great place to be and do well. Now, with respect to the country, I did have a lot of reservations when we started investing, but I have been happily surprised. First of all, we found very solid service providers. Some of them are actually sitting here. One gentleman is just in front of me. I think we received unparalleled support and great quality. And I guess it's expected because Cyprus is well known for its services and financial services in particular. Similarly, we had a quite positive interaction with the major financial institutions, mainly with Bank of Cyprus, but also with Eurobank. In all cases, they conducted themselves with integrity and trust. I think it was mentioned before by the gentleman who was opening the panel. It's quite important to feel that your counterparty are actually honest and they will conduct in the right way. Sometimes a little bit slower than what we would like to be, but you can't have everything, right? So that's clearly another plus. But then, and I go to a point which was brought up so many times today, and I'm glad I had it down as a point to highlight the people. You talked about the people in the country and the talent. And what I can tell you on that is that leaving aside education, professionalism, I think Cypriots have something quite unique, which we call in Greek philotimo. If you went to Wikipedia, philotimo is actually the love of honor. People do love what they do, and they're very proud. They have this feeling of righteousness, which goes beyond financial reward. Sometimes I tell, but I'll pay you more. And tell me, I don't care about money. I care about doing my job and doing it properly and feeling proud about what I do. And actually, this is quite unique. And we started with 2 people. We now have 20 in our headquarters, and then we have another 1,000 employees in the various hotels that we own. So I cannot but compliment the quality of people there. And for those who want to come to the country, I think you'll be very happy with the level of people that you will find there, especially if you're able to also recruit talent that has worked abroad and has relocated back. That's a distinction there because those guys have actually realized what it means to have healthy competition, what it means to daily have to improve to keep your job. I think that's quite important. Sometimes if we are in a small country, we can become a bit complacent. But for those Cypriots that work abroad and are relocating, actually, that's a bullseye, the best thing you can do. So lots of positive things. What are the challenges? There are challenges. Hopefully they can be overcome. And I did see today from Christos Papachristophorou some data which I felt quite intrigued by. First of all, with respect to real estate, so far I always felt that the market was one-dimensional. Residential, whether it was a tower or houses, 90% probably of the market was resi. I think that's changing, and I hope it does. I think that as we embrace more industries and the economy diversifies away from construction and hospitality, things like hospitals or education, universities, staff accommodation, student accommodation, data centers. We talked about technology and ESG investing. I think those are quite important. So I think it's important for the industry to diversify beyond residential. The other thing which is quite important is the market is small, it's shallow, it's illiquid. We need to think, it's not easy, it's a small country, but if we want to make this a financial hub, we have to be quite open-minded about how to do that. Potentially we could introduce real estate investment trusts, which are tax-efficient vehicles that can provide the ability for foreign investors to tap into the local market, invest, and then being able to come in and out in a more easy and liquid way. And then the last is that actually there's not a real institutional market in real estate. If you ask people about the yields and investing at the back of a yield, most of the people will say, what is that? We actually, they're used to value per square meter. They used to actually buy and own the property. You don't have the typical investment market that you see in most of Europe where you buy a property, you develop a property, you lease it up, and then you sell it to an institutional investor that is looking for predictable income, inflation adjusted, that will secure future earnings. So that's, again, something that I'm hopeful with years it will change. Few ideas, again, picking up from things that was said before. I do believe a lot in green investing. In Greece, we actually, in one of our subsidiaries, which is the largest REIT in Greece, we raised a bond a year and change ago, 300 million euro green bond. And its mandate is to invest essentially in green buildings. We're actually the largest owner of green properties in Greece. And through that capital, actually, we are developing the landmark office tower, which will be, as I said before, a gold LEED certificate. And then, as I said before, again, support people who would want to invest in real estate, supporting areas of growth, like education and healthcare, and be able to also tap to the various RRF programs that exist. Conclusion, despite those small reservations that I just mentioned, I mean, the market has always surprised me. It has always done better than I thought it would. So clearly there's an X factor for Cypriot real estate. Maybe it's its size, maybe it's the lack, maybe it's the quality of people I mentioned before. But undoubtedly it's a market quite interesting for people to look into. Thank you very much.